Well, good evening, Kitty Q. Sprinkled Donut. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to tonight's trivia. I hope you both had a great weekend. Hope you had a pleasant vacation, Kitty Q. Staff, good evening. Gianna Marie. Ooh, you studied. Well, best of luck to you, Gianna Marie. Carol Miller, hello. And Tamara Hall. I've been waiting for this POS, Will. Diana Bowman, good evening. Rob's RC Cars. Good evening, Rob's RC Cars. Welcome to tonight's trivia. Yes, all of the questions tonight are on Kermit Barron, that's his middle name, Barron Gosnell. This was a viewer suggested topic for the trivia night. Good evening, Cement Shoes. I'm going to give it a couple more minutes and then we'll get the actual trivia going. There's quite a few extra things that we need to go through before we start tonight's trivia topic. Good evening, Purple. Sherry, good evening. Welcome to tonight's trivia. I hope you both had a terrific weekend. But yeah, Kermit Barron Gosnell. I don't think I've ever met anybody with the name of Barron, or at least nobody I've ever met that told me their middle name or their one of their names was Barron. Players be warned, this guy was brutal. Yeah, well, we're gonna go over a little bit before we get the trivia going. He was definitely not somebody, He did a lot of things, and not allegedly either. These are all been proven factually now. But he did a lot of things throughout his entire professional career that is disgusting, sick, and he did it for profit and for personal notoriety and gain, and in disguise of other things. So leave it to Beaver. Good evening. Hey, my friend Will. I did a pretty in-depth video on this sick fox. He's awful. It's so good to see everybody. We'll leave it to Beaver. I'm glad you could be here with us tonight. And I'm serious when I tell people, is this yes, Steph? He is. That you are thinking of the one and only Kermit Barron Gosnell, the abortionist. But he was a lot more than just that. A lot more, unfortunately. All right, let's get this going because there's quite a bit that we need to go through before we actually start tonight. Like I said, viewer discretion is strongly advised. Now, I understand that the subject matter of tonight's topic is going to be a touchy subject for a lot of people, and it is going to upset some people. But we need to, when we're looking at actual criminals, criminals come in all different forms. Some are, just loners and drifters, and others are professionals, and they do things as under the disguise of being a professional, individual. What is a serial killer? We need to ask ourselves that question to start off with. A serial killer commits a series of murders, often with no apparent motive, and typically following a characteristic, predictable behavior pattern. A serial killer is typically a person who murders 3 or more people, with the murders taking place over more than a month, and includes a significant period of time between them. While most authorities set the threshold at 3 murders, others extend it to 4, and while others lessen it to 2. I don't personally agree with the murder of two makes you a serial killer, but I'm more towards the four, plus makes you an actual serial killer. Otherwise, to me, you're a spree killer at two. Tonight's subject matter: Kermit Barron Gosnell, without political, moral, or ethical bias, was a physician who operated a women's health clinic in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He was convicted of numerous crimes related to his medical practice, including illegal late-term abortions, medical malpractice, unsanitary conditions, along with the disappearance of several former employees. On top of the violations of medical standards and violations of patients' health, he is he is one of the sole reasons we have HIPAA laws and regulations were passed to add oversight into medical facilities. He was, and that you may not have known that, but he is one of the reasons why we have the laws that we have today, and regulations around HIPAA. If when we get into this today, you're going to learn a lot about this guy. Additionally, Kermit Barron Gosnell, according to the Department of Justice and the FBI, has been labeled as a serial killer, even though they were never able to prove he killed any of his former employees. His actions, as documented, involuntarily, knowingly violated the laws of the state and the federal government for personal gain and financial profit, rather than the reason related to reproductive health. It's important to acknowledge these facts impartially, as they are supported by credible sources, and all of the trivia questions tonight have been checked directly with someone who worked with Kermit Barron Gosnell and was considered to be a close personal friend outside of work. Tonight's trivia questions will adhere strictly to the public verified information and verified information from this party. I am not putting any slant into this where you may be on, reproductive health. That is not what the subject is about, and nor should that ever be a discussion topic for tonight. We are looking at the individual himself, Kermit Barron Gosnell. The verified, regarding the personal or my stance on views on women's reproductive rights. It has nothing, again, to do with tonight's subject matter. Question number 1 is on the screen. Dr. Kermit Barron Gosnell was asked to not see patients at several hospitals, rehab clinics, and outpatient centers long before he opened the Women's Medical Society. Why was he asked never to come back to Penn Medical Center? That's Penn State Medical Center, Penn Medicine. Was it A, overprescribed drugs, B, caused the patient's death, C, gave wrong drugs to patient, or D, he was friends with Barry Morphew? And there, me in my little window. As a former OB/GYN surgical nurse, I cried thinking of his crimes. Yeah. You've heard of him? He is one sick son of a, and he's still alive, by the way. He is in prison. Friendly Talker, good evening. Gianna Marie's going with B. Kitty Q is going with A. Friendly Talker's going with C. Cement Shoes is going with E. Caught watching Jersey Shore on the clock. Carol Miller is going with B. Question number 1. Staff's going with B. Tamara's going with C. Tamarin. Good evening, everyone. Good evening to you again, Friendly Talker. I'm glad you could be here with us. Dr. Kermit Barron Gosnell was asked not to see patients at several hospitals, rehab clinics, and outpatient centers long before he ever opened the Women's Medical Society. Why was he asked never to come back to Penn Medicine? The correct answer to question number one, ladies and gentlemen, is C as in cat. He gave the wrong drugs to he gave the incorrect medication to a woman. She was supposed to receive an antibiotic and a pain medication. Instead, he gave her a muscle relaxant and another medication that was due to be given to a cancer patient. And that put Penn Medicine in a huge situation that they did not want to be in ever again. They're like, wait a minute, you could have killed this patient by giving them these drugs. It's definitely done irreparable harm. So now their insurance had to play catch up, and take care of the situation. The public was never told about this or any of the other hospitals that he was asked never to see patients at again. That didn't come to light until 2018, long before. Now, he opened the Women's Medical Society back in the 1970s. So look at from the mid 1970s through to 2018. No one from the state medical board ever told a single patient of his or the patient that he was seeing there and doing rounds or whatever in the different hospitals before he opened up the medical society. He was an awful doctor way before then, but nobody knew about it. Well, again, that's why we have HIPAA laws now that protect not only your patient's right, but also as part of the laws that were passed during the HIPAA regulations. It also made it so you can also look up information about your doctor, which you should have been able to do all along. All right, question number two. June of 1973, the first patient of Dr. Kermit Gosnell died while receiving medical treatment from him and his staff. This patient's name is unknown because she was listed on the books as blank. Is it A, Jane Doe, B, Jane Deere Doe, C, patient and then a number, or D, the Manta number or Lancaster and a number? Smoke them if you got them. Good evening, Rayanna. Welcome to tonight's trivia. Glad you could be here with us. Lemon Pie, good evening as well. Inner Peas is going with E. Snooky, good evening, Inner Peas. June of 1973, the first patient of Dr. Kermit Gosnell died while receiving medical treatment from him and his staff. This patient's name is unknown because she was listed on the books as blank. How was she listed on the books? E, I'm not a doctor, so don't blame me. Question number two. The answer for question number two is C as in cat, just a patient number. When he was operating the Women's Medical Society, he listed everyone as a patient number in the books, not by name or anything. Several patients had medical issues that were caused by Dr. Gosnell at his clinic, who would either go on and die, or they had severe issues when they had to go to the hospital and they were actually in inpatient care in the hospital. But all it listed was the patient's name and his actual log in the office, and then the line was drawn through it, and then the word died was written next to it in ink pen, blue ink pen. But he did that for an awfully long time until he got, not listing anyone's name. He did that for an awful long time until the state medical board said you got to write down, keep records of who's coming to your clinic. Question number 3. What was the subject matter of the Mother's Day Massacre of 1972? Was it A, street gang war over crack, B, televised termination of pregnancies, C, bootlegging turf war, or D, the White Sox beat the Phillies by 20 runs? What was the subject matter of the Mother's Day Massacre of 1972? Kitty Q, Deanna Marie, Purple, and Lemon Pie are all going with B. Friendly Talker, Lemon Pie, Sprinkled Donuts, and Steph are all going. Well, Friendly Talker going with C. Carol Miller is going with B. Smith Shoes going with B as well. Question number 3 of 20 on Kermit Barron Gosnell. E, Mountain Lion murders Yugo driver Mormons. Mountain Lions are murdering people in Yugos, and they're Mormons, though. That's funny. All right, question number 3. The correct answer is B as in boy. Televised termination of pregnancies. He came up with this great idea by contacting a local public access channel, and they actually filmed him doing 15 of them. Yes, as sick as that is, he decided that was what he wanted to do on Mother's Day of 1972. Wish it wasn't true, but it is. Question number 4. Jeannie Castro was a medical aide for Gosnell's office in 1972. She vanished without a trace. When law enforcement finally looked into her disappearance, what did Gosnell have to say? Was it A, said he didn't know her and never heard of her? B, said she moved back to Cuba? C, said she quit before she started? Or D, he refused to answer questions? Jeannie Castro was a medical aide for Gosnell's office in 1972. She vanished without a trace. When law enforcement finally looked into her disappearance, what did Gosnell have to say? Jeff, they built book signing. Good evening, Gemma. I hope you had a wonderful day today, and thank you for joining us tonight. Jeannie Castro. Question number 4 of 20. In case you're wondering, Jeannie Castro was an illegal alien. She had no business being in the United States, let alone working as a medical aide in Dr. Gosnell's office. But what happened to her? What did he say when the police finally looked into her disappearance? And by that, I mean, she was missing for almost a year at that point, vanished without a trace before law enforcement or anybody even bothered to look into a missing, illegal alien who worked for Dr. Gosnell. Sorry, Gosnell. I bought a. Well, that went fast. Come back here. Was that? You did. Good. I'm glad you had a great day. I bought a discounted Easter candy from inflation. It's just normal price candy. All right. Question number 4. The correct answer is D as in dog. He refused to answer any questions regarding her disappearance, her employment. He wouldn't even tell law enforcement where she lived or if she had any interaction with anyone else in the office. He absolutely refused. She wasn't from Cuba. She was an illegal alien from Haiti. From Haiti, not Cuba. All right, question number 5. Miss Castro wasn't the last employee or acquaintance of Kermit Barron Gosnell that just up and vanished. A friend and possible whistleblower of his wife Pearl vanished without a trace in the early months of 1980. What happened to her? Was it A, she was found dead in a bathtub in the later part of 1980? B, found dead in New Jersey in 1982? C, she was found dead in New York in 1980? Or D, never found or heard from again? Miss Castro wasn't the last employee or acquaintance of Kermit Barron Gosnell that just up and vanished. A friend and a possible whistleblower of his wife Pearl vanished without a trace in the early months of 1980. What happened to her? Question number 5 of 20. We got C, D, 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 D. I'm about to add wine, LOL. And Sherry is going with DE. He didn't like it when she sang, "It's not that easy being green." It's funny. Wow, 13 months. Well, congratulations, Gemma. And I'm glad you could be here with us for 13 months now. Best times being a member. Well, I'm glad that you're a member and you're here with us. I mean, if she vanished, then I'm guessing she wasn't found, says Kitty Coo. Question number 5. The correct answer is D as in dog. She was this friend of his wife Pearl was never found or heard from again. Her name is I'm probably going to butcher her last name, but Coronella. I think that's how you pronounce her first name, Coronella. Coronella was originally born in Delaware. It only lists her first name and last name, but the last name I had to find on another report, along with the other person who I spoke to, who is a close friend of his, supposedly. I can't exactly verify that more than I know that they are connected to the court case and everything else. But anyways, but she was originally from Delaware. Now her last name is spelled Nietoti. However you pronounce that, I guess. Oh, I almost spilled my water. But she was originally from and born in Delaware, but she up and vanished, and she was going to blow the whistle on Dr. Gosnell, supposedly, according to his former friend, about the medical malpractice that was taking place in the actual clinic itself, along with procedures that he was actually performing outside of a medical facility. They were going to blow the whistle on him. And then that friend of Pearl, his wife, just up and vanished in the early months of 1980. Nobody knows what happened to her. She never turned up her social security number, none of it in her driver's license, none of it has ever been used since she disappeared in the early months of 1980. All right, question number 6. The very first complaint registered with the state of Pennsylvania Medical Board was in blank, and it was for unsanitary medical practices and for racist treatment of patients. What year was that first complaint filed? Was it A, 1974, B, 1980, C, 1976, or D, 1990? This reminds me, they just found the remains of Stacy Peterson, Drew Peterson's fourth missing wife. Wow. Was reincarnated as Snooky. Anna's going with A. Oh, Smith Shoes A. Friendly Talker D. Gemma A. Sprinkled Donuts A. Lemon Pie A. Kitty Goose C? Question mark. Jenna Marie and Carol are going with A. Purple D. I saw it on News Nation last week. Wow. Party like it's 1999. Question 6 of 20. The very first complaint registered with the state of Pennsylvania Medical Board was in what year? The correct answer to question 6 is A as in Apple, 1974. The very first complaint was registered with the state medical board, and the issue was the unsanitary way that his office was and medical procedures were done, and that the racist part was he charged a different sliding scale for a fee for people who came to his medical clinic, even if they were just there for an examination or anything at all. He charged more depending upon your skin color. The closer you got to the color of white, the more he charged. The darker of color of skin you had, the less he charged. That was something that would always happen at his clinic. He was a racist against, and he believed that people who were white or lighter skin could get a job and they could pay more for their medical procedures. What a lovely individual. Question 7. Between 1989 and 1993, Kermit Gosnell had blank complaints filed with the medical malpractice insurance for not having a nurse in the recovery room for distributing narcotics without a prescription to patients, which he just paid a fine over and walked away. How many medical complaints were filed with his malpractice insurance between 1989 and 1993? Is it A, 34, B, 68, C, 12, or D, 98? I'm so glad that her sister didn't give up on her cement. Yeah. At least the family gets some kind of closure now. Hopefully, they can start to heal now that they know exactly what happened to her. Between 1989 and 1993, how many complaints were filed with his malpractice insurance company? E, 4 out of 5 dentists surveyed. Lemon pie is going with 144,000. So is cement shoes. Purple and Carol are going with C. Steph is going with A. Question 7 of 20. All right. Question 7. The correct answer is B as in boy. 68 complaints were filed with his medical malpractice insurance company between 1989 and 1993. 68 complaints. You might be wondering, well, gee, just looking at his medical practice in the state of Pennsylvania, Dr. Kermit Barron Gosnell had 88 medical malpractice lawsuits filed against him in the 32 years that he ran that clinic. 88 medical malpractice lawsuits came from those 68 complaints. Those 88 medical malpractice lawsuits break down as this. 46 of them took out of court settlements. 11 suits were connected to missing persons. That's where the person who filed the complaint and hired an attorney just up and vanished. 11. 9 of the were settled after court hearings or mediation hearings, and 10 were closed after the plaintiff was murdered. And the rest of them were open when he was arrested, and the insurance company won't say how they closed those claims. 88 in 32 years. Regardless if you find his actual what he did for a living repugnant, he was not a very good doctor at anything he ever did, because he was already asked to not practice at any of or see patients at any hospital in and around the Pennsylvania area. And again, it wasn't until 2018 that anyone out in the community anywhere knew anything about what was going on with this man. And Tamara Marin has been a member for 1 month. Message, I bet he murdered Miss Piggy too. But 88 medical malpractice lawsuits in the 32 years that he ran that clinic. And that is not the only medical clinic that he ran. He had one in Atlanta, Georgia, that he was on the board of officers for. He had another one in Delaware. He had one in New Jersey, and then he had the one in Pennsylvania. He mainly practiced at the Pennsylvania, and he would see patients at the Atlanta, Georgia one as well. 88. Now that's what we know from public records, that there are 88 medical malpractice lawsuits. All right, question number 8 is now on your screen. Kermit Gosnell said he got into women's reproductive health in poor neighborhoods because of the lack of care. That was a half truth. He charged different amounts just for an office visit, depending upon your skin color, like I said earlier. How much did he brag on live TV he made per day? Was it A, $17,000 a day, B, $15,000 a day, C, $8,000 a day, or D, $144,000 a day? So how many medical malpractice suits were in Atlanta? Rihanna, I have no idea. When certain states do not disclose, even to this day, how many medical malpractice lawsuits have been filed against a practitioner. You have to go and research the actual location, the doctor, the anesthetist, all of it. But in some states they didn't keep records, and they certainly didn't tell the public. I mean, this man was on the radar, and a lot of doctors in Pennsylvania, Atlanta, and Pennsylvania, Georgia, and New Jersey, they all would not allow their patients to go see this man for anything. They knew it, but it was just kept quiet in the background. And it sucks. Kermit bucks. Will, I super chatted you. I saw that, Gemma. Thank you. Towards getting Getty images. I do appreciate that, Gemma. I'm sorry I didn't read your comment out loud, but I did see it. Thank you very much. We don't know about New Jersey either, then? No, we don't, Rihanna. Well, we can go back through the archives now. Now that he's been found guilty, it would take a lot more research to go through the state records to find out if he, had medical malpractice lawsuits filed. Because when it comes to medical malpractice lawsuits and the settlement of those cases, it would be that insurance company. You'd have to find out who was his medical malpractice insurance company at that time, and then you'd have to find out what was, you could find out what his premiums were and everything else for it. But the part that that's important is of all these things that were happening, that all these things that he was doing, and they never told the public about it, but the doctors knew about it, but they didn't want to say anything. They weren't like necessarily covering up for him. They just didn't want anybody they knew going to see this man. And it wasn't his main clinic was the major issue, the one in Pennsylvania. It was run down and disgusting, unsanitary for any type of medical procedure to be taking place at. And we'll get into more of it as this goes on. You'll learn a lot more about it. No, they don't, Rihanna. Let's hypothetically say you have a doctor right now today, that you want to check up on, or a specialist that you're going to go see. Even today, to try to find out information about that actual individual doctor, it's a lot easier today than it ever has been before. To find out about any complaint, you can call the state medical board, and start there. But back then, the state medical board, the state of Pennsylvania, wasn't even looking at this guy. And there's reasons why. I mean, you'd be surprised what some backhanded envelopes full of cash can get you away with. But how much did he brag on live TV he made per day? Question number 8. On live TV during an interview, he bragged that he made B, as in boy, $15,000 a day. Good evening, Rykart, and welcome to tonight's trivia. Doctors are worse than good old boy club for covering up for other doctors. Yeah, it happened. I'm guessing his prison is more like a country club. Oh, no, his prison is not a lovely place at all, Steph. He is doing hard time in a one of the worst violent prisons in the country. He is not in a country club atmosphere. Question number 9. What was Kermit Gosnell's wife Pearl and several people who worked for him convicted of? Was it A, distribution of Oxycontin, B, distribution of Trank, C, prostitution and crack possession, or D, distribution of Jersey Shore's DVDs? What was Kermit Gosnell's wife, Pearl, and several of his employees convicted of? Convicts love baby killers. Oh, don't they? They're one of their favorite people. Not. A. We got a lot of A's. Distribution of Oxycontin seems to be a popular choice for this question. Question number 9 of 20. What was Kermit Gosnell's wife Pearl and several of his employees convicted of? The correct answer to question 9 is A as in apple. A as in apple, distribution of Oxycontin. The last 2 years that he had his medical practice open at the Women's Society in a medical center, he was pretty much he checked out because he was making more money giving away and selling prescriptions for Oxycontin than he was for doing the medical procedures or seeing actual patients. It became basically just a bogus front for selling prescriptions. People would come and go, "Yeah, I got a headache." And he'd just write him a script for 900 Oxycontin pills or whatever he thought he'd get away with. But that was what he did the last 2 years that he was actually in, and that's what caught the attention of the DEA and the FBI. That's how they got involved in the entire thing, was because they were looking at and trying to crack down and close these pill mills and places, they were just flowing with Oxycontin. And as fast as he could shovel it out the door or write scripts so that people could go fill it at pharmacies, and one pharmacy would get burned, and then they would have to go to another pharmacy for all the scripts. And then he eventually worked out a deal with another an independent pharmacist to start filling endless amounts of Oxycontin that he for all his patients. It was 2018 or 2017, right in there, cement shoes. But anyways, question number 10. Who was Frank Matthews to Kermit Gosnell? Was he A, a bartender, B, Barry Morphew's drug connection, C, a friend, a drug dealer to Kermit, or D, Pearl Gosnell's wife's nephew? Who is Frank Matthews to Kermit Gosnell? The Pharmacist is a really good documentary if you haven't seen it. No, I haven't seen it. Reichart. B. Cement. A whole bunch of C seems to be a popular one. Private dancer. That's a good one, Lemon Pie. He was his private dancer. Carol and Steph are both going with C. Who was Frank Matthews to Kermit Gosnell? Sherry is going with B. Al is going with a hoe. Frank Matthews was a hoe to Kermit Gosnell. I don't care if you like me or not. I'm not here for people to be, my best friend. I'm just here to give you the information. You can decide what you want with it. All right. Question number 10 of 20. The correct answer is C as in cat. He was a close personal friend of Kermit Barron Gosnell, and he was also a drug dealer who dealt marijuana to Gosnell and his wife. Apparently, they both liked their marijuana, and he dealt them marijuana. Frank Matthews. And in case you're wondering, additionally, Frank Matthews actually testified against Kermit at his trial. Additionally, all right, it is now our break time. For the next 6 minutes, take a break, go get yourself something to eat or drink or do whatever you want. Be back in 6 minutes. We'll get the second half of tonight's trivia going, along with the, since last week we didn't have any cold case files, this week we have 4. Kitty Cube beer time. Six minutes. So what part of the United States are you in today, Reichardt? If you don't mind if I ask. Seems to be a popular question a lot of people ask about every week. What part of the U.S. you're in? I'll have to look that up, The Pharmacist. The documentary, is it on Netflix or is it online someplace? You're in Denver. Well, you're close to where my sister is. My sister's about 50 miles outside of Denver. She used to live in Fort Collins, and then she moved to Greeley, and then she bought property out it's about 50 miles from Denver. We need the Barney song. I love you, you love me. Where did they find the cop's wife? It was on Netflix. Not sure if it still is on there. Says Kitty Q. I'm not who. What cop? Friendly talker. I'm not sure what that's in reference to. Fort Collins is wild. And she moved out of Fort Collins, but they were mainly there because the property was back then was a lot cheaper, but she got kind of burned on a land purchase there, and then she ended up moving to Greeley for a short period of time. While the property that she did eventually end up buying, that she has now, it's never had water or electricity or anything on it, and they had to bring all the utilities and everything in. So she had to wait, and that's why she lived in Greeley for a short period of time while they were waiting for all that stuff to be done. My grandparents lived in Fort Collins for years, and I loved it as a kid in the 80s. I think it's a beautiful place down there. You know, all of that, from Denver, Fort Collins, Greeley. I think it's all beautiful down there. A lot of Peterson was the cop. Oh, Drew Peterson that found his fourth wife. Um, yeah. 2 more minutes left of the break. 2 more minutes. Do, 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 do. And a lot of hardworking folks in Greeley. Yeah, my sister works for the DOT. She likes her job though. she's not like a flag or anything, or she's not out on. She does have to go out to construction sites, a lot, but she's a project manager or something like that for the DOT. I got gold fever when I was a kid because I found fool's gold in a creek in Fort Collins. Carol. I lived in Aurora, Colorado. I don't know if I've ever been to Aurora. I probably have. Oh, kitty coo, sweet story. I bet it's a good memory. Fool's gold. I actually did that in Montana. I took a class on how to learn how to pan for gold. It was interesting. It was something to do for the day. I mean, I think it was like $10, and if you found any gold, you got to keep it. I ended up finding like powdered gold, and they had to take it out with like this little bottle thing, and they put it in a little vial for me. And for the life of me, I couldn't tell you where that little vial of gold is. I mean, it wasn't much. I mean, maybe a couple of grams of gold, but I did find some right next to Denver. I've probably driven through it because the last time I went down to see my sister, I flew into the airport, and then they picked me up there, and then I went to their property, which was still under construction, which was fun. It looked like a weird, religious compound at the time because everybody was living. She has 5 kids, so she had 3 campers in like a kind of like a triangle pattern. All right, but we are back now from our break, ladies and gentlemen. Question number 11 is now on your screen. What life-changing event for Kermit Gosnell took place on February 18th, 2010, that would change Kermit's life from there on out? Was it A, Kermit killed his 48th patient, B, Kermit killed his 109th patient, C, he won the lottery Powerball, or D, the FBI and state police raided his clinic? What took place on February 18th, 2010 that changed Kermit's life forever? How much would you give to go back for just an hour? First time, 11 by February 18th, 2020 is the first time he saw the Jersey Shore. I've yet to see an entire episode of the Jersey Shore, and I'm gonna have to consider myself lucky that I've never have. Pop culture. Hey, how you doing? Alex is here, ladies and gentlemen. D as in dog is Alex's choice. If you all have not checked out Alex's pop culture YouTube channel, you need to check it out. He does movie reviews, and he does an awesome job at it. You think my voice sucks? Well, Alex's voice is the complete opposite. His voice is one of those that he should be doing voiceover work for commercials and stuff like that. But I'm glad he's doing movie reviews. He read some men's shoes. He read his first Daybell book. do. If you want to check out Alex's channel, Pop Culture, that is a clickable link to you can actually go over and check out Alex's YouTube channel. All right, what life-changing event took place on February 18th, 2010? It changed Kermit Barron Gosnell's life forever from that point on. The correct answer is D as in dog. D as in dog is when the FBI and the state police finally, took a lot of these accusations and a lot of this into place and raided his actual clinic. Question number 12. The last 2 years in business running the women's health clinic, a lot of his closest friends and employees said his heart just wasn't in the business any longer. He had diversified and was making more money doing what? Was it A, flipping houses for profit, B, selling bogus prescriptions, C, hunting mountain lions, or D, reselling boats to the super rich? Got an autographed Yuko from Perry Moreview. Lemon Pie and Gianna Marie are both going with B. Excuse me. E, chain letters. Are chain letters even a thing still anymore? I'm a member of chain letters. Tamara's going with is going with D. Kitty Q D. Right card B and C. B and C mountain lions. Friendly Talker's going with A. Steph B. Last 2 years in business running the women's health clinic, a lot of his closest friends and employees said his heart wasn't in the business any longer. He had diversified and was now making more money doing what? The correct answer to question 12 is B as in boy. As I talked about earlier, he was making more money towards the end, last part of his, when he was open, selling OxyContin prescriptions. That was more lucrative to him than anything. And back to why he said he opened up the women's health clinic in the first place in the poorest part of Pennsylvania was because he said he did it because there was lack of care in that area, which is half the truth. But the other half of it was because he knew that the state medical boards and the oversight would be so low because nobody wanted to go to that part of town. They didn't want to go there to provide medical, practice, have a medical practice there. They didn't want to go there for anything. But selling, and then it never got any better. The area, went downhill even more. And then you bring in the crack addictions of the 80s, and all that. And then you get the OxyContin, and the opioid crisis. And all he was doing was flooding the neighborhood with bogus, scripts for, OxyContin and selling OxyContin out of his business. I mean, nobody wanted to be around there, and that just dragged the entire thing down even more. The area, the community. But question number 13. From the very first day of Dr. Kermit Barron Gosnell opened the doors to his first clinic to the last day he was open, the FBI and state police and state medical board found out what was going on. Was it A, no one ever cleaned? Speaking of the clinic. B, patients received pain shots from junkies. C, selling drugs was always common. Or D, he never reported even 10% of his income. Jude, good evening, Jude, and welcome to tonight's trivia. I hope you are doing well, Jude. From the very first day, Dr. Kermit Barron Gosnell opened the doors to his first clinic And again, he had the one in Delaware, New Jersey, in Atlanta, and the one in Pennsylvania. So the FBI and state police and medical board found out what was happening. Which one of these was happening at his clinic? He sold black market Amway. 11.5. He tore the tags off of mattresses. The Jew's going with all the above. Hey, Jude. Damn, no Beatles pun intended. Question number 13 of 20. From the first day to the last day, what all was always happening at that clinic? The one in Pennsylvania. The FBI, state police, and the state medical board found out what was happening. Question number 13. The correct answer to question number 13 is C as in cat. From the very first day that he opened the clinic, he was selling pain medication and scripts for pain meds. This is long before the Oxycontin and the opioid crisis. This is back in the 1970s. He was selling pain meds, actual pills in the actual clinic itself, and prescriptions for pain meds to people, mainly women. That's what he ran, was a women's health clinic. It'd be really odd if he was selling scripts to men. But these women would buy these scripts from him for pain meds. C as in cat. Question number 13. Question number 14 is now on your screen. To cut corners and save money and time, Dr. Kermit Barron Gosnell had to think outside the box. Some of the ideas were downright sickening. Others were really smart. How did he make sure that no one from the state medical board would stop in his clinic? Was it A, he hired gang members for security? B, pimps ran all his lobbies? C, he never put a sign on the building? Or D, the situation from the Jersey Shore stood outside the front door? When did he start? Right after Roe versus Wade? I want to say 1972, in a cement shoes, is when he opened his first clinic, the one in Pennsylvania. All the other ones, the one in Delaware, New Jersey, Atlanta, Georgia, those three all came later. He did not own those other three. He was just on the board of officers, the directors for those clinics, and he actually saw patients at a couple of them. But he didn't own those ones. He owned the one in Pennsylvania. He adopted a mountain lion for personal security. To cut corners and save money and time, Dr. Kermit Barron Gosnell had to think outside the box. Some of those ideas were downright sickening. Others were really smart. How did he make sure no one from the state medical board would stop in his clinic? Purple's going with C. Black card C. Steph C. E. He put a sign outside. Nothing to see here. Medical board. Question number 14 of 20. All right, the answer to question number 14 of 20, the correct answer is A as in apple. He hired gang members and former gang members, some of them were former, to do security outside of the building and to keep the lobby and everything and operations going smoothly. You have to understand that this was a turnstile business. The more he got women he got into the clinic, the faster he pumped them out and got more and more money. So in a typical day, in a normal practice, a practitioner will see maybe 5, maybe 10 patients a day. If Dr. Gosnell could pump out 40 of them a day, he would. It's volume business to him. But he needed somebody to run security. And if you look like you didn't belong, you weren't pulling into the parking lot, you weren't coming in his building. And when you're hiring gang members to do security, and they're probably packing, you can assume so. Question number 15. As I learned earlier, 11 women filed lawsuits against Dr. Gosnell and his clinic and insurance, then vanished without a trace. What happened to those 11 cases? A, no plaintiff, no case. B, they all settled eventually. C, I don't know, ask Barry Morphew. Or D, the insurance company won't say. Advertised as a weight loss clinic for pregnant women. Oh. As we learned earlier, 11 women filed lawsuits against Dr. Gosnell and his clinics and insurance, then vanished without a trace. What happened to those 11 cases? Question number 15 of 20. 15 of 20. D. And Rackart, C. And Friendly Talker, C. I don't know. Ask Barry Morphew. All right, question number 15. The correct answer is A as in apple. No plaintiff, no case. You can file a lawsuit against someone, but if you don't follow up with the case, the person you're filing the lawsuit against has the right to defend themselves against their accuser, even in a medical malpractice situation. A lot of medical malpractices settle through mediation, or if they actually go to trial, if they can't get come to an agreement. But in this case, all 11 of those cases were eventually closed because there are no plaintiff, no case. Question number 16. During Dr. Kermit's trial, almost every former but 3 employees and current employees lined up to testify against him. Some of the most damaging evidence was about women being drugged into coming to the clinic. Who else testified against him? Was it A, his most recent drug dealer, Marcus? B, his current girlfriend? C, his wife and former lover? Or D, 4 well-known pimps? Who testified besides every single one of his former employees except for 3 and every current employee? Who also testified against him at his trial? They were lined up. Everybody wanted to see this man put away for what he did. Tamara A, Gianna Marie A, and then we have Friendly Talker D, and then Jenna Marie, Rihanna, Carol, and Steph are all going with C. Sprinkled Donut is going with A or D, LOL. Is current drug dealer or 4 well-known pimps? Lemon Pie is going with Snoop Dogg. Dog testified against him at his trial. Ask Drew Peterson. Oh my God. Disgruntled Avon lady says cement shoes. During Dr. Kermit's trial, almost every former employee and three and all his current employees lined up to testify against him. Some of them, the most damaging evidence was about women who are being drugged into coming to the clinic. Who else testified against him? The correct answer is C as in cat. His wife and his former lover testified against him at trial. His wife, Pearl, and his former lover. All right, question number 17. Lives were affected, lives were destroyed by Dr. Gosnell after his conviction. There was very little for any former patient to go after civil-wise, suing him civilly for damages. He transferred assets away, gave away items, sold off others to super cheap. How much did he have left? And when he was still owing $28 million. Those were for settlements that he already had, judgments against him, $28 million. How much did he have left? Was it A, around $300,000, B, around $600,000, C, just over $1 million, or D, $239,816 exactly? Excuse me. Lives were affected and lives were destroyed by Dr. Gosnell. After his conviction, there was very little for any former patient to go after civil-wise. He transferred assets away, gave items away, sold off others super cheap. Excuse me. Carol, bus fare says he had bus fare. That's all he had. The cement shoes. Rykar's going 144,000. That's what I had. One copy of The Last Jedi. I can't believe he used the CNAs as anesthesiologists. Yeah. Oh. He did some crazy shit, but it was all to save money. He didn't care. He wasn't. He said he was in the business, for women's reproductive health, but no, he wasn't. He was in it for the buck and for his own notoriety. Right, Anna is going with D. Colonel Donuts says D as well as Steph. Question number 17 of 20. Rockhawk D, Friendly Cocker is going with D as well. Question number 17 of 20. The correct answer is D as in dog. He had $239,816 exactly left in his bank account after he was convicted and sentenced. But he gave away or sold off or got rid of close to $32 million worth of assets. And he brought himself down to just $239,000. That's all he had left. Some of the things he transferred off to, former friends, current friends. He did a lot of shady shit. And then it was up to the government to try to crawl back all those assets that he had gotten rid of. Some of it he transferred to Pearl, but she was going to prison herself. Terrible. All right, question number 18. During his marriage to Pearl, Kermit Barron Gosnell had many, many affairs that didn't come to light until 2018. According to his former friend who I spoke with, how many extramarital affairs did he have? Was it A, at least 20 they know of? B, well over 40 they know of? C, 10 they can confirm, or D, 5 that they can confirm. During his marriage to Pearl, Kermit Barron Gosnell had many, many affairs that didn't come to light until 2018. According to his former friend I spoke with, how many extramarital affairs did he have? You, right? John Marie is going with B. Photography. Kitty C. Carol Miller, B. Lemon Pie, C. Rihanna, going with B. How many extramarital affairs did he have? And yet Pearl was right there. 1 with Dame Edna. Who is Dame Edna? Steph is going with A. Right card's going with B. And I'm stumped why he wasn't charged with the murder of the live-born babies that he snipped the spinal cords to kill. I don't know, Tamara. I don't know. And if you all want to see some of the most disgusting and horrific pictures, just Google Kermit Barron Gosnell and look at his Wikipedia page. There are some very, very graphic images that are on there. And I'm warning you now, you may not want to watch or look at that page. But if you are so inclined to want to do that, there are some of those pictures of those babies, like you're talking about, that are on on his Wikipedia page. A lot of them that are on the internet are controlled, or they're behind a paywall now. There are some images that are in the public domain, but it's horrific. Wonder if he even adopted his own spawn. I don't know. I don't want to see that. I didn't want to see it either, Cement Shoes. This was a very hard, grouping of questions to put together. Plus, I had several phone calls with his former friend. On top of it all, alleged friend. I mean, I couldn't exactly confirm it with Barron, but I know that person's connected to the actual case itself. Well, I did my due diligence in trying to verify everything that they said. But question number 18, the correct answer is A as in apple. There were at least 20 women that he had extramarital affairs with. All right, but I'm warning you, Rihanna, you may not want to see it. Baby boy A has been etched in your mind for the last 6 years. All right, question number 19. Sorry. Did Dr. Kermit Barron Gosnell ever force any of his former lovers to end any of the pregnancies? Is it A, he refused to admit to any affairs? B, 2 former lovers say they did? C, 1 former lover said she did? Or D, he says yes, sadly 3 did? Did Dr. Kermit Barron Gosnell ever force any of his former lovers to end any pregnancies? And we're looking at the entire 20 that his friend confirms that he had. Was he good looking, Rihanna? I mean, back when he was younger, when he first started off in the 1970s, I mean, most of the pictures you find online of him now is an old man. He looks an awful lot like Bill Cosby today. Face looks like it's A stale everything bagel with glasses. I mean, but when he was younger, he was a I guess you consider him an attractive younger man, but not so much anymore. I mean, he looks an awful lot like what Bill Cosby looks like today. Then how did he have so many affairs? I wonder. Rihanna, money, a lot of money. He had a lot of money, and he could buy the attention of those who were weaker, and he would have affairs with them. Don't look at the pictures, guys. No, I've warned everyone, don't do it. But if you want to do it, it's up to you. Okay, how did did Kermit Barron Gosnell ever force any of his former lovers to end any pregnancies? He refused to admit to any affairs. When it comes to the actual extramarital affairs, the only ones that confirmed that he had them is his wife Pearl, his friend, and it came out in the actual testimony in court. But otherwise, Dr. Kermit Gosnell never admitted to having any affairs, other than it's part of the public record from his court case. And his wife and his former friend, who I spoke with, talked about it. But A is an apple is the correct answer to question 19. Question 20 is now on the screen. Since he's been locked up for his crimes, Dr. Gosnell says he's received hundreds of letters of support. There is one super fan that puts $40 on his inmate account every day. Does Dr. Gosnell know this fan? Is it A, repulsively, yes, she's a former lover? B, yes, a former friend? C, yes, it's his former attorney? Or D, no, he has never met this person. Since he's been locked up for his crimes, Dr. Gosnell says that he's received hundreds of letters of support. There's one super fan who puts $40 on his inmate account every month. In case you're wondering what happened to the $239,000 that he had, the government seized all of that money. So when he went to jail, he had nothing. But now there is a super fan who puts $40 on his inmate account every month. Does Dr. Gosnell know this fan? Because some women do that. It's true. Kid accused going with D, question mark. Brianna, D. Gianna Marie from the Talker, Sprinkle Donuts, and Carol all going with D. It's going into your vernacular. Stale everything donut. Bagel. Sherry's going with D as well. Some men's shoes. E, it's Nicole Kessinger. Oh boy. Steph is going with D as well. Question 20 of 20. Don't forget, we have the cold case file still to come. It'll be right up after these questions are finished. All right, question number 20 of 20. The correct answer is D as in dog. He has never met this person. According to online records, the only thing that we are able to determine that it is someone but the first name of Carol and the last initial is B, and then the rest of the name is redacted from the record. It's just a bunch of asterisks. But someone by the name of Carol, who has never met Dr. Gosnell, he was in jail and then being transferred to prison. That person has been putting $40 on his inmate account every single month since he's been incarcerated. All right. How well did you do tonight on the trivia? This is completely optional. You do not have to give yourself a letter grade. It is something that some people like to do, other people don't. But did you get an A, a B, a C, a D, or you would E, a rock star mountain lion tamer? It's Carol Bundy. I just saw, speaking of Carol Bundy, I just saw an interview the other day with Joe. I think that's his name is Joe, the guy from that show, Joe Exotic, right? So everybody called him, but he's got a real name. It's not Exotic. But I just saw an interview with him, Carol O'Connor. Carol. I think I did pretty well tonight. Maybe a B. Sherry says got a C. There you go. Well, all right. Of the 20 questions on tonight's trivia, how many did I know before putting this together? I knew exactly two. Two of the 20. Now, obviously, I had notes and I spoke to a former friend of his, and I got the information. But before any of that and putting together the actual trivia question, I only knew two. I vaguely even remembered this man even existed. Again, I know this was a different type of subject matter than we normally do on this channel, but this was a viewer suggested, topic, and it took me some time to put it all together, but I'm glad that we did it. Now, I'm not talking about where I am on that point of like women's reproductive health. I should not be able to tell anybody what you should do or not do with your child. Morally or ethically, that is up to you and to the individual. It's not my spot in this world, not my lane, if you will. Okay, let's go on to the cold case files. First one tonight is Angelina Abradiris, I guess you pronounce it. She has been missing since 1996. She is the first one on my stack here. All right. She last seen in Dallas, Texas. Today, she would be 55 years old. She is biracial, Asian, and white. She is 5'7" to 130 to 140 pounds. Everest was last seen in Dallas, Texas on April 2nd, 1996. She left behind her vehicle, clothes, luggage, car keys, and other personal items, including her handbag, which had her driver's license, cash, and stuff like that, was found in her actual apartment. At the time when she disappeared, she was also doing laundry that day. And the laundry room is a communal area in the apartment complex where there's one laundry room for all the apartments that you have to go to. So it's not like laundry in the actual apartment itself. But she had laundry that was in the washer machine, and she had clothes that just came out of the dryer that were not folded that were found on her bed. Additionally, and originally, when they investigated her disappearance, they thought that there was bloody handprints or fingerprints that were found on the door jamb entrance way to her actual apartment. But it turned out that it was actually red paint that was left behind by a maintenance worker who was painting the trim near the actual doorway itself. And it has complete alibi, so it wasn't that maintenance person at all. Everest's boyfriend, though, definitely did some sketchy shit right after her disappearance. And so Angela's boyfriend withdrew money from her savings account without her being there, obviously. He just went to the bank and took money out of her savings account. He then took one of the two vehicles that they had, and he transferred it over to himself. Then he emptied out their joint banking account This all happened in very short order right afterwards. He said that everything that he took was jointly owned and it was his. The money he took out of her savings account, he didn't take everything she had in her savings. He just took a portion of money out of that account and then transferred the car. He said the reason why he took the cash was because she owed it to him and he needed to pay his rent for his apartment because he lived in another complex altogether, not in the same apartment complex. But Angela's boyfriend was removed from actually being a person of interest or a person that may have done something to make her disappear. He has an iron tight, alibi for the days before and days after she actually disappeared. So the law enforcement is not looking at him as part of like how she disappeared. But what really is an issue here is her lifestyle. Angela is lifestyle was not exactly the best and most conducive to being safe. She was an exotic dancer in several Dallas nightclubs in and around the area, and she has a prior conviction for prostitution on top of it. But her lifestyle definitely played into her disappearance. Now, there are several items that were missing from her apartment, according to her family, that are not could not be found. A plastic and metal cross that was always on the door next to the doorway when you came into the apartment had been taken off of the wall and was not found anywhere in the apartment at all. And this is just a run-of-the-mill metal and plastic cross, approximately 11 inches in length. That again hung on the wall. It doesn't have a base on it, so if you sat on a table or anything else, but that item was missing, and the item came from like a Walmart or a Sam's Club. So nothing really special about it, but it is missing. Additionally, two other items that were missing from the home at her apartment is a black leather jacket that she had purchased at a local thrift store that she was a thrift store find for her. That item was missing, and two sets of shoes. One pair of dancing shoes, high heels, and the other were a pair of sneakers that she was probably wearing the day she disappeared. Her car that she did have from a divorce from 1990, 95 was when she was divorced, was also found later on in another area in the Dallas Fort Worth area. Her estranged husband, obviously, he'd be somebody that they would want to look at. He was away on business and lives in Hong Kong. So he was not, anyone of interest in the disappearance or a suspect or anything at all. But those items again that I speak of, the black leather jacket and the cross, are of interest, and they don't know why she would have taken them with her. When she disappeared, again, it was in April. It was not raining. It was a mild temperature day for the Texas area, so she wouldn't have been wearing a leather coat. So, but nobody knows what happened to her. So, all right, next one, case number 2. Stacy Ann Argon has been missing since the 7/20 of 2005. She vanished and was last seen in the Gilbert, Arizona area. She would be 47 years old today. Race white. Again, height and weight. She is 4'11", approximately 190 pounds. So we'll move to number 2. This one is a strange one, but a little bit longer, so bear with me. All right. So Stacy was last seen between 2 and 3 p.m. on July 20th of 2005 at her aunt's residency in in the vicinity of Gilbert Road and Elliott Road in Gilbert, Arizona. She left the residency with her boyfriend, Stephen B. Bishop. The couple had made some transactions at an ATM and a dollar store and in the area. After they left, Stacy has never been seen since then. Her burgundy 1986 Subaru station wagon with license plate number 286 PDE was later found abandoned on a hillside west of Lake Pleasant, Arizona, in an area so remote it had to be accessed by a helicopter. To this day, they are not sure how that car got there. There's no road to drive in on to get the car there. It's like the car just appeared alongside of a giant hill down an embankment, and they don't know how the car got there. There's no tire tracks, and there's no roads or anything around at all. But they think that there's a possibility that she may have gone out there or found some way to get her car into the situation, and something may have happened to her after she actually she walked away from this accident. But her boyfriend Bishop also had warrants out for him at that time. He was released from prison in 2004 after serving 5 years of incarceration for aggravated assault. A lot of speculation in the Gilbert, Arizona area is that he had something to do with it. But at this point, they don't have anything concrete that says that he was. Again, his name is Stephen B. Bishop. Bishop appeared alongside of Stacy and has always proclaimed his innocence and actually took part in a search party multiple times for trying to find evidence. And they've done a grid pattern search in and around the area where he was actually her last known appearance was. But again, take a look at the photo of Stacy. Somebody knows something about where she is, what happened to her. Next is Benny Morris Archer. He has been missing since 3/2 of 2016 from Delaware City, Delaware. He would be 40 years old today. Race white, 6 foot tall to 6'1". People judge his height there, between 170 and 180 pounds. Archer was last seen in the DuPont State Park. This is a national park in Delaware on March 2nd, 2016, and he's never been heard from again. At the time of his disappearance, Archer had no phone, no money, no identification with him. All of these items were left at home or in his vehicle. The vehicle was found in the actual park there, and they have no idea what happened to him. He just vanished without a trace. In 2017, a year and a couple of months after his actual disappearance, there was a possible sighting of Benjamin Ben, and that was an eyewitness who said that they thought that there was a possibility that they'd seen him wandering the streets in nearby city, which is approximately 70 miles from where he disappeared. Now, Benjamin Benny has had a history, unfortunately, of drug abuse and alcohol use addiction. But his case it remains open. If you can reach out to Delaware City Police Department if you know anything about where you may have seen him. Again, that last report was in 2017 of a possible sighting of him. Law enforcement believes that there is a chance that he is on or has gone back on drugs and it has just decided not to go back home for whatever reason. Case number 4 is Joanna Angel. No middle name is listed on any of the missing persons reports that I've been able to go through and find for Joanna. She's been missing since December 17th, 2011 from Etna-Borough, Pennsylvania. She would be 51 years old this year. Her race, again, is white, 5'3", 100 to 120 pounds. Last possible update on this one was there was a sighting on December 21st, so approximately 4 days after she disappeared, that she may have wandered into a gas station in Huntington, Pennsylvania, asking to use a telephone. And she has a medical condition that they know she would need to take medication for. She suffers from seizures, and she also suffers from severe migraines, but that are brought on because of past issues. But the Pennsylvania State Police is who you would contact if you have information about Joanna. If she is alive and she is out there, and law enforcement at this point do believe that foul play is involved in her actual disappearance. That they believe somebody probably picked her up and somewhere along the lines, and she got away from that person, and then they got her again when they found her at the gas station. So that is it. That is the trivia, and that is the cold cases for this week. Now, normally we only do 2 cold cases, but I didn't have it last week, so I just put them together with this week's. Biden's family probably abducted him. Just poof. Missing people. Yep. Yeah. They still, and I looked at the typographical map of where they found her car. It would be damn near impossible to get that car to where it was. I mean, it could happen. I mean, it's a very dense forest all the way around, and that car was found. And the GPS data, you expand the map open, and it's just a ravine, and then like area. It's not that much of a ravine. It's not like it would cause like great bodily harm if you drove your car off it and got into an accident. It was maybe 6 feet or so off of down a ravine. But still, how the hell did she get her car there? It's not like there's a road or anything around anywhere. And if she didn't take the car and abandon it there, how did they did anybody else get her car there? I mean, I guess you could when they actually grid patterned around it is they did it by a helicopter and by drone. I mean, I guess you could have picked the car up and dropped it off in the middle of the forest there. Think Hunter Biden is the reason why he vanished? Could be. Hunter Biden in his crack. I hate driving through Delaware. Always get an eerie feeling. I've only been to Delaware once. We went up to Delaware and Maine for the fall colors, changing of the colors. We went to some kind of autumn festival. I can't remember where it was at though. I was living in say that had been. I was living in Wisconsin. No, Minnesota. I was living in Minnesota at that time. we went to New York a couple of times. That was back when Times Square was like a seedy place. But I've only been to Delaware once though. I've been to every state. I've never gotten an eerie feeling from the state of Delaware though. That there's some places that they're a little bit off the beaten path. I don't know about you, Rockhart. Have you ever been to Washtuckna? That place scares the living crap out of me, especially at night. Washtuckna. That's right off of what 90 I-90 in Washington State, Washtuckna. Lemon pie. I've never been to Delaware. I see these as sad as it is. I think about the possibilities of all those remains just being out there, waiting to be discovered. Yeah. In a lot of these cases that I've been covering, they're not people that necessarily just walked away from their lives. Somebody knows something that if maybe they've seen the jewelry or the car or something. Somebody told them a story over beers one night in a bar. I mean, somebody knows something. You just got to bring attention to these missing cases, the missing people in these cases. Every single one of these people been through there. Will it's scary driving through there by the Cascades. Yeah, I've gotten stranded there, and walking down the street, business and houses and everything, there was nobody around anywhere. And I finally find one old man sitting on his front porch in a rocking chair. Swear to God, it was like something out of like the movie Deliverance. And I walk up to I started walking up to this guy to ask him where is everything? Is there a gas station, a tow company, something in this damn place? And the guy's like, "You ain't supposed to be here." That's all. That's all he said to me. You ain't supposed to be here. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm just trying to get the hell out of here. You ain't supposed to be here. I walked around for like a good hour before I found another person. I was like, where in the hell do all the people who live in this damn forsaken place live? Where are they at? Turns out I showed up when they were having a city like school board or something like meeting. That's where everybody from the damn place was at. But I didn't know that. And that first old guy wasn't going to help me. I see these and think of the poor Summer Wells and Little Monkey. Oh, yeah. Well, this will be them. Vaughn. Monkey. Vaughn. Yeah. But you've got to remember these people that were missing. They're somebody's sister, aunt, brother, best friend. Somebody loved these people, and somebody wants to, it needs closure. So you got to pay attention to these people. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to wrap up tonight's trivia night. I want to thank everybody for being here with us tonight. Thank you, Lemon Pie. I'm glad you enjoyed it. If you'll give this a thumbs up on the way out, I would appreciate it. And I hope everyone has a terrific week ahead. Again, we will be back next Sunday for another trivia night. Not sure which one of the subject matters it'll be on, but it will be something. The subject matter for next week's trivia will be something that is a lot more audience friendly. A case, an individual that a lot more people are familiar with. So, and then again, next week's is another viewer suggested trivia. But I'm working on 3 of them at the same time right now, so I'm not sure which one's going to be done. So for those who I do email early, and let them know about what the trivia subject matter is, you probably won't hear from me until Wednesday, because I gotta finish it up first. Whichever one gets finished first is the one that's going to happen. But thank you again, everyone, and I hope you all have a terrific week ahead. Bye.